We will strike back when we are attacked. The message from the Chancellor today as he pledged £1.9 billion to bolster the UK's defences against growing cyber threats. A variety of adversaries have been identified, including organised criminal groups, hacktivists, untrained teenagers and foreign states. Here's Scotland Tonight's James Chain.
On a personal level, it might involve hackers or scammers trying to steal our money or personal data. But on a national level, it goes much further than that. A cyber attack against airports or power networks could prove a national security nightmare. The extra £1.9 billion of funding aims to bolster the UK's technological security in the face of that threat. And as it was unveiled by Chancellor Philip Hammond, it was matched by some tough rhetoric.
We will continue to invest in our offensive cyber capabilities, because the ability to detect, trace and retaliate in kind is likely to be the best deterrent. So we will not only defend ourselves in cyberspace, we will strike back in kind when we are attacked.
His promise of a fight back didn't name any specific states, but the head of MI5 did. He said today Russia was a growing threat to the UK's stability. Other experts involved in fighting global hacking say there are lots of threats out there.
All the different nation states, big and small, advanced and not so advanced, who are either creating or purchasing cyber capability that they can use against many different countries. In the UK, we want to make the chance of that much, much reduced.
Reducing that threat takes expertise, and honing the skills takes time and money. Some of the money will be ploughed into education and training to create more cybersecurity experts. Scotland will play a part in that. Universities like this are already training the next generation of digital defenders.
There are three elements of the proposal and the cyber strategy. The first one is deter, so we can deter people through law enforcement. The second area where the money will go is defence. And of course, defending our critical infrastructure is always important. But the third element, which we are most interested in and excited about, is development. Being able to increase the capacity of the pipeline of students coming through.
And there's reminders that it's not just about big geopolitical threats, it's about securing ourselves from scammers too.
At a local level, in society, we all have a responsibility for cyber security. Everything from ensuring you've got a secure password, making sure that updates that come in through your software are enabled. That means that you can remain protected and defend yourself against cybercrime.
Cybersecurity isn't a new issue, but today raised the stakes. Whether it's hostile states or just rogue teenagers in their bedrooms, the growing threat is something we'll all need to process.
Joining us now from London is the cybersecurity consultant, Dr. Jessica Barker, and in Edinburgh is Bill Buchanan, Professor of Cybersecurity at Edinburgh Napier University. Thank you both for joining us. Dr. Barker, what's your reaction to what was announced today by the UK government?
It's great to know that the UK government is continuing to take cybersecurity seriously. This is in line with other things that they have been saying, and in fact, almost a year ago, George Osborne said there would be this sum of money and discussed the idea of hacking back. So we've known that the government's been considering these initiatives for a while. It's fantastic to see that they've formalised them, and it's great to see they're talking about things like more international collaboration and, of course, growing cyber skills and training people up more.
Professor Buchanan, will it meet the threat, do you think?
I think it's a great step in the right direction. I think what we need to do is build up our own industry infrastructure, and we need to start to share across different industries. So there is no one sector that has all the key skills, and what we need to do is to build an infrastructure that allows these key stakeholders to work together. And I think as part of this, the National Cyber Security Centre run by GCHQ is going to be a key element of bringing everyone together.
Jessica, where should the money be spent, do you think?
It's difficult because there's lots of issues to be dealt with when it comes to cybersecurity. Spending money on protecting the critical national infrastructure, as the government have said they will do, is of course very important. And I completely agree with Professor Buchanan that it's important that we look at information sharing and also developing skills. So I think it's great that we can spend more money on those initiatives.
And Bill, how serious is the threat, not to businesses and also to individuals, of course?
Well, I think we saw last week with the attack in the US around the DNS infrastructure, where someone managed to take control of 500,000 CCTV cameras just because there was a single username and password that was set on each of them. What happened was that someone took over control and then attacked the DNS server, which actually brought down much of the infrastructure on the east coast of the US.
And to what extent, Jessica, is it business espionage, and to what extent is it, as was perhaps suggested by MI5, is this international nations actually indulging in cyber terrorism?
There's a range of threats, and that's what makes this problem so large and so complicated. So nation states do pose a threat, as the head of MI5 has discussed today, but also organised crime presents a huge challenge for organisations and individuals. And of course there's also the hacktivist threat, so those people that are motivated by political ideology, as well as the sort of lone malicious hackers, so lone malicious criminals who often simply want to cause disruption and also to test their skills to see what their capabilities can do and how much disruption they can cause.
And Bill, does Scotland face a specific threat?
I think it does. It has different types of industries that you would see typically down south. We're very dependent upon industries such as the finance sector, healthcare, energy and so on. And really it's important that we protect those industries. Along with this, our network infrastructure is very dependent upon routes into and out of London. You'll actually find that problems caused in London, such as a power outage that happened in the summertime, actually can cause major problems in the north of the UK.
And so how would we do that, Bill? How would Scotland be able to address that?
Well, we need to look at the key choke points within our networks. We need to make sure that there isn't a single point of failure. We need to look at other routes that we can connect into the internet. And we certainly need to make sure that a single failure, such as in the energy network, doesn't bring the whole infrastructure down. Because things like transport, aerospace, healthcare, education, all depend on good internet connections.
And Jessica, more broadly, this would need an international response, cross-border response.
This is one of the key challenges with cybersecurity. Is it's an international problem, so international cooperation is really important when we're trying to deal with the threat.
On the more personal level, Jessica, how vulnerable are we as individuals?
As individuals, we shouldn't panic, but we should take the threat seriously. And that means doing all the things that we should do, like having good, strong, complicated and unique passwords for our accounts, so not reusing passwords. Having two-factor authentication, which is like a double level of security on your accounts, is really important, and keeping your devices and your software updated.
Bill, people know this, but people still keep using the same familiar passwords. How do you actually get that change in behaviour?
Well, people need to move away from simple passwords. You actually find that the most popular password is 123456 if someone is asked to select a 6-digit password. So users need to move away from that and to start to use things like phrases, start to use different characters and so on. But I think, as Jessica is saying there, we need to move away from passwords. We need to move much more towards fingerprint recognition, geolocation, and generally multi-factor authentication. And passwords will become a thing of the past.
And Jessica, I was hearing tonight, just one incident tonight of somebody who's been scammed on their computer, lost a lot of money, they're getting phoned constantly, their emails. Why is it difficult to track these people down, these criminals down?
It's often because of the international nature of the problem. So because criminals can, be halfway across the world, on the other side of the world, it can be difficult, A, to trace back where the threat has come from, where the attack has come from, but also then to actually prosecute them when they are in a different jurisdiction. It's a real challenge.
And Bill, finally, is it something people should be aware of, certainly, concerned of, certainly, but fearful of?
I don't think they should be afraid of the internet and cybersecurity. The internet brings so many benefits. It brings people together, it knocks down borders, it allows people to share things across traditional borders, and so on. So really, we're moving into the cyber age, and it's a new type of infrastructure that we have, and really, cybersecurity is just one step in securing that infrastructure.
Professor Bill Buchanan, Dr. Jessica Barker, thank you both for joining us in Scotland Tonight.